Greetings, friends, family, um, supporters, innocent passersby. Um, as promised, it's a 2 for Tuesday. So I did a stream a little earlier this morning talking about my unemployment update. But this particular stream is going to be related to my customer service series. So just to get some housekeeping out of the way, if you like my video, click the thumbs up. If not, that's okay too. If you think anyone else might be interested or have a stake, I would encourage you to share. Also, like, subscribe if you want to get updates, and I'll leave a comment. I would love to hear perspectives. I do have the chat turned on, and I see you, Blooming Artist. Hi. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad you got to join this one. So I know it's been kind of challenging to connect lately. So customer service. This one, just for a little background for those of you who don't know, I am a career quality assurance analyst. I've spent a large amount of my professional career analyzing, training, creating best practices, documents, and SOPs, standard operating procedures, for customer service. In addition to having done, no, I did not get a job. That's what I was doing before the workforce reduction. I did not get a job. I wish I could. But I'm coming from that perspective of having that professional corporate experience with analyzing customer service, coaching customer service reps, and providing stats and training and all things related to the quality of customer service. So what actually inspired me to go live today is a video I watched over the weekend. And it's from a content creator that I follow, Hannah Alonso. She does a lot of multi-level marketing content, and she also has kind of an influencer insanity series, and I love Hannah's content. But I did disagree with her on this one aspect, and she had a video where this mystery shopper, and the legitimacy of the mystery shopper is in question, no doubt. But the experience she had, and I'll just tell you the highlights. So the mystery shopper filmed herself going into a fast food place and filmed the interaction with the customer service rep, the cashier. who appeared in the video to be probably not just a regular fast food cashier, probably management or assistant manager level. And she filmed this interaction. She made her purchase. She reviewed the food. She reviewed the customer service. And a lot of her take was questionable. A professional mystery shopper wouldn't announce who they are, the restaurants they're going to, or those kinds of things. They just wouldn't do that. I mean, I guess some might, but it would be unprofessional and against their non-disclosure agreements that they sign with the company that hires them to do the mystery shop. So she was really giving herself away in the video. Now, her interaction with the person at the counter, I want to give my take on it a little bit. And if I knew how to queue up the video and show it and discuss it, I would love to be able to do that. It's not something I do at this point. Working on it. But this particular interaction, from my opinion, was not a good customer service experience. And in Hannah's comments, there were a lot of people defending the poor cashier and criticizing the shopper. Now, for me, the shopper definitely had a lot to criticize, but so did the customer service. So it starts off, she goes in, the customer service person is speaking with someone kind of off in another part of the restaurant, and she notices the customer comes in. She walks over, doesn't really greet her, isn't particularly friendly. She does offer to take the person's order. I don't remember the exact words. She did offer assistance, but she was very curt and very short with her words. She be like, she wouldn't, and she didn't use a lot of active listening either. So for me, a customer service experience in a restaurant, the person should say, "Hi, how are you today? What can I get for you?" She didn't do that. It was very, "Do you want a drink? Did you want a side with that?" I can't remember the specific words. It was 2 days ago, but it was very short and curt like that. And so the comments were just raging over how just raging over how the shopper was disrespectful. And even though she was super polite, I mean, she was problematic, and we can talk about that. But the service rep, the service person, was not friendly. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because there is an attitude in the world now that customer service, it's okay to do the bare minimum. Now, Blooming Artist, I see your comment. With customer service, the customer is always right. I know that's how we used to frame things, but I'm going to respectfully disagree. I understand your point, But here's why the customer is not always right. Sometimes what the customer wants is not possible. Sometimes what the customer wants is against a law or a regulation. Sometimes what the customer wants is something that just is physically not possible. They want a particular item on the menu and they're out of that particular item. The waitress, the barista, um, the chef, nobody can get this item to that customer because they simply don't have it. So while the customer might want something, sometimes there's a reason that they just can't have it. And from a professional customer service perspective, some customers can be rude. Some customers are just demanding and overly critical about things that are basically irrelevant to what they're seeking the service for. So it's complicated. I mean, it's very nuanced. So the waitress, the customer service person, the cashier, they need to be polite. And you said this as well, that the waitress should always be kind. 100% I agree. To a point. If the customer is rude, the service person does have a right to defend themselves, in my opinion. They do have a right to not be abused. They're there to provide service. They're there to do the job. They're there to bring you your food. They're not there to be your verbal punching bag. They're not there to take your abuse or your anger out on them. That is not what they are there for. And I think old school customers also used to be more polite than what they are now. So expecting a higher level of service went both ways. The customers were polite. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe you have a different perspective, but I know when I grew up, when we went to conduct business somewhere, whether it was making a food purchase or returning something to the department store, we always were polite to the worker. It was unacceptable to be rude to the worker. And likewise, it was unacceptable for the worker to be rude to the customer. What do you do in a situation where the customer is rude to you? Well, yeah, we'll sidetrack for a moment and I will actually answer that question. What would I do in the situation where the customer is rude to me? It depends on the situation. Over the phone, I simply just try to diffuse the situation. I understand you're upset. I know maybe you're having a bad day, or I know that this didn't work the way you wanted it to. I'm here to help with that. I'm here to help you no matter what kind of mood you're in, or no matter what else has gone wrong in your day. I'm here to make this one thing better for you that I can. And sometimes it's just a matter of setting the customer at ease and making them more comfortable. So I do have a story. A long time ago, I was an outside sales rep for a beauty supply company. So I would deliver salon products to hair salons. And so I would bring professional supplies, hairbrushes, chemicals, perm chemicals, hair coloring, sanitation supplies, shampoo, like everything. Anything they needed to do their services and stock the salon and keep operations running. So it was also part of my job to take products and demonstrate new products. If we had a new type of curling iron or some new hair device or a different kind of mixing bowl or whatever, it would be my job to take that and show them new products as well. So I had this one client who was sometimes a little cranky, and I was relatively new to the job, and I was having a particularly stressful day myself. And my customer made a snarky comment to me because something was missing from his order. Somebody else had packed the order for me, and sometimes we're out of things. So for whatever reason, something was missing. And he made a snarky comment. And I cannot remember for the life of me exactly what the comments were, but I clapped back with something sarcastic. And it just cracked him up and just changed the whole interaction and actually changed the whole dynamic. And going forward for 4 years, this guy was one of my best customers and always had a joke for me. We had a great friendly interaction. So it really depends on the situation, and you've got to read the room. Check out the body language, listen to people's tone. In that situation, a snarky comeback was exactly the right thing to set my customer at ease because that was his personality. For someone else, that would have been just rude and unprofessional. I was lucky in that situation that he took it with the humor I intended it. And even on my very last visit, I let him know I was leaving that job and moving on in my career. He gave me a huge tip. The last time I came to him, he gave me a card, and it's been a pleasure working with you, and money, and it was great. We just had this great working relationship because I knew how to communicate to him. But other times, that's not been the case. I had a customer once on the phone ask for something, and this was dealing with technology. And I could not give her what she wanted. It simply didn't work the way she wanted it to. And it's because of the way the technology was fed to our system. And I had to refer her back to another organization to make the corrections she needed because I couldn't pull it up on my laptop. This is information being fed through a network, and it starts somewhere else. And if the information is correct at the point of origin, then it's not going to come to me correct. And I can't fix it on that point of origin. The customer has to do that. So I very politely apologized. I'm sorry, I can't do this for you. It has to be done this way, not this way. but I would be happy to get our technical support team to look at it anyhow and see if there's something different that we can, we can look at on our side. Maybe we can re-pull the feed. Maybe there's something they can look at that I don't know about. And she called me stupid and useless because I couldn't do the thing she wanted because it had to be done a specific way. So, for example, let's say you create a Facebook post and that Facebook post gets fed over to somebody else's website. The person whose website it is can't change that Facebook post. You have to change that Facebook post because you're the one who made that Facebook post. So just because it shows up on my website wrong, that is not my fault. That has to be fixed by you on Facebook. Just an example. It's not the way that's not the exact situation, but that's an example. So I tried very politely to explain, this issue has to be corrected over here. And once it's fixed there, it will feed over to us correctly. Well, I need you to do this and I need it done right now. Ma'am, I apologize. I know that's what you want. And if I could do it, I would be happy to do it. That's just simply not in my power. It really does have to be done by you on this other site. And once that's fixed, give it 24 hours and it should feed over to us correctly. Well, you're just useless. All I could do was apologize. In that situation, given the nature of my job, I could not be rude back without getting in trouble. She could be as mad at me as she wanted to be, but my job, my employer's guidelines for me were to be empathetic and apologetic and understand her situation and to let her know I understood the situation. I know you would like me to fix this on my side. I know you want this done right now. And I apologize. It has to be done this way. Well, you're just terrible at your job. I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm giving you the best I can give you. And if that's not good enough, I am sorry because I'm here to help. I'm here to make this right for you the best way I can. This is the solution. And I can't do anything else. And that is why the customer is not always right. I physically could not do what she wanted me to do. Was I stupid? No. Was I useless? No. I knew my job. I knew how to get the issue fixed. She just didn't like that she was the one that had to do the work to do it. And no, you can't make everyone happy. But in a customer service job, you can at least try to be pleasant. Even if the customer is upset, apologize, try to de-escalate it. Pull them back in, understand. I know this is hard. I know it sucks that I can't give you what you want. Or sometimes we can give them what they want. I'm sorry this happened. I don't know why it happened, but I am happy to do what I can to fix it. And this is what we have to do. Give me a moment and I will get it done. And And if you're having a bad day, I am really sorry you're having a bad day. Sometimes things don't go the way we want them to. And it's my job. I am here to help make this better for you. Now, I know that attitude is not very popular, especially in some customer service personnel don't like that they have to be nice. Some are like, you shouldn't be rude to me. And I have an example of that as well. And I think I talked about it in an earlier video. I had to call my HOA management company. And the girl who answered the phone, I did not hear her identify herself. She answered, hello. And I was not happy about it. Like, I'm a customer service quality and training professional. This is not acceptable. So I questioned her about it. Like, did I call the right place? Because I didn't hear any identification. I identified myself. If you didn't hear it, that's on you. Okay, no, it is not my fault that you answered the phone, hello, not, hello, this is XYZ Management Company. That's not my fault. Don't blame me. In that situation, the best answer would have been, I'm sorry if you didn't hear me identify myself. I'm Susan with XYZ Management Company. I'm sorry you didn't hear me, but you have called. Is this where you're trying to call? How can I help you? And that was not my experience. She was really rude to me. All because I asked her, I didn't hear you identify yourself. Did I reach the right place? So there are multiple perspectives on this. Absolutely. But in the case of the video that I watched, a lot of the comments said, I saw a lot of comments that said things like, yeah, but she had a camera up in her face. Of course she wasn't going to be engaged. She was probably just trying to get through the experience and get on with her day. Or what do you expect for a minimum wage fast food employee? And my answer to that is, I don't care if there's a camera in your face. I don't care if you're a minimum wage fast food employee. The job is the job. About the cameras, yes, it can be intimidating when someone has a camera in your face. However, the shopper didn't have her camera up like this filming. She had it down here, kind of being sneaky, sly, like trying not to be obvious about it. So it wasn't like really intrusive. Now, this may be an unpopular opinion. I understand how you feel about that, Blooming Artist, but here's the thing. Legally, they don't have to. Legally, people can film and they do not have to announce that they're doing it. If you are in a public space, there is no expectation of privacy. If you're walking down the street, you can take a photograph of somebody's home. You do not have to go knock on their door. Hi, I really love your yard decorations. Can I take a picture? You do not have to do that. You can stop, take a picture, and move on. And in a customer service setting like fast food restaurant, I understand that this is not a popular opinion, and I wouldn't like it either. Okay, I'm honesty here. I would not like it if somebody came in waving their camera around, trying to film everything I was doing. It would be distracting. But legally, they're allowed to do it. And two, if you're in a fast food restaurant or a retail store, chances are everything you do is being recorded anyway by your employer, not even the customers, your employer. Fast food restaurants and retail employ hidden cameras and microphones for your protection as much as, and even more so for your protection than to spy on you. But it's a loss prevention tactic. That's how they catch people shoplifting. That's how they catch people slipping stuff into your food that doesn't belong there, right? None of us want those things going on because it costs us money and even our health sometimes. So when you take a job in retail or fast food or a number of other situations, you sign an agreement that you know that that employer uses cameras and you accept that. And even many of them, you'll see a sign on the door or in their window. We use closed caption TV. We use surveillance cameras. That's just part. If you go into a grocery store, you're being filmed or recorded. If you go into a convenience store, chances are you're being recorded. If you're getting gas at the gas pump, chances are you're being recorded. And if you don't like that as a customer, that is understandable, but they do announce it. They let you know they're doing it. And two, if you're the employee, you agree to that as a term of, as a condition of your employment. And so we are being recorded all the time. And that's the difference is people forget that the cameras are on them. I'm the cashier. I'm just going about my job. I'm stocking the shelves. I'm just going about my job. And as long as you're going about your job and doing what you're supposed to be doing and treating your customers the way you're supposed to be treating them, you don't have a problem, right? You don't have a problem every day when you show up to work and you're at the cash register and somebody orders a coffee and you go get their coffee. Your employer's recording you and you're just completely ignoring it, going about your job, right? You should employ that same level of customer service, whether the customer has a camera or not, whether your employer has a camera or not. You know the cameras are there. You've already agreed to it. If you forgot, that's probably so much for the better because then you won't be distracted by it. But your professionalism, your level of service should be the same whether you think there's a camera watching you or not. And that's just my opinion. But from the call center environment and my job specifically in quality assurance, I would read emails that go out to the customers and the incoming emails from the customer and the response from the customer service rep. And you're right, Blooming Artist, most of us don't notice the camera And I know that noticing it or not noticing it can make a difference in how we feel about it. But the fact is, if we're in a store or we're in a restaurant, we're in a shopping mall, we're in a parking lot, it's the camera's there. You're right. You just shop without noticing. And the retail worker, the waitress, the barista, they just do their job without noticing. So if somebody else comes in with a camera and being a little sneaky, so what? Just go about your job. And back to my story about customer service on the phones. My company recorded 100% of phone calls, incoming, outgoing, even internal. So if a customer service rep took a call from a customer and they needed help, they had to put the customer on hold and call the help desk internally. That call to the help desk was also being recorded. So my job would be to pull that recording and listen to the interaction. And hopefully they would be just taking the call and helping the customer and building rapport with the customer and being pleasant and being efficient, regardless if they thought I was listening to that call or not, because we would pull at random. So you might take 100 calls in a week. I might listen to 2 of those calls. You don't know which 2 I'm listening to. So you should be providing the same level of service, whether you know I'm going to listen to that call or not. You should provide that same level of service if you believe I'm going to read that email or not. And I know we like to say that retail people, fast food people, and even customer service people in general don't get paid enough. And I would agree with that. We don't get paid enough. But that doesn't change the expectations of the job. You accepted the job, you agreed to do the job. Do the job. If you don't like the job, work within your organization to try to correct the things that need to be corrected, to change the culture, to lobby for better pay, to um, change the culture and the environment, if that's within your scope. Absolutely. Sometimes it isn't, and sometimes we need the job, so we just suck it up and do what we have to do. If someone uses a camera on you, can't they use it against you? Yeah, they can. They can, sure. But that's just part of life. Um, if they're if you did something you weren't supposed to do and somebody puts you on blast on social media because they filmed an interaction where you were the one being a jerk, don't be a jerk. Yes, people use video recordings against other people all the time. There's a good and bad to it. Absolutely, there's a dark side to it. The problem is you can't stop them from doing it. You can only take actions if they've broken a law. Now, there are some exceptions. Hashtag not legal advice. I'm not a lawyer, but in some situations, and definitely seek legal advice, some establishments can post on the door, no cell phones, no cameras. No, museums are actually known for this, for having no photography rules. So if that's something that the establishment wants, the owner of the establishment in some cases can say, we have sensitive or light sensitive items in here, no photography allowed. That is something that the establishment can do. Now, in the case of a franchise restaurant, they're not likely to do that. Or a retail chain, not likely. I, as a, if I owned a local coffee shop, I might be able to do something like that. If I display the work of local artists in my coffee shop, um, I might be able to put a sign on the door that says no photography. But there are rules about that. And I absolutely recommend, checking with your lawyer before posting such a sign. But in general, cameras are on us almost all the time when we're in public. And yes, we forget about them because we're just so used to, we go about our lives, and, even driving down the street in the car, the traffic cameras get pictures of us in our cars. It's sad that it's like this. I remember being a kid and we talked about this, when they started putting up the cameras on the traffic lights and surveillance cameras in the parking lots for safety. And people will be, pretty soon there's going to be cameras on every street corner and you're not going to be able to go anywhere without a camera on you. And well, here we are. It was true. And that, again, that's a double-sided thing. Cameras have saved lives. So, that's how stores catch shoplifters. It's how criminals have been caught. There's a show called, if I can remember it, See No Evil. See No Evil. And it's, the show talks about how they use surveillance cameras to solve murders. There's one story that comes to mind where the girl was out with her friends having a drink at a bar, and she left the bar and was murdered before she ever got home. They used traffic cameras and the surveillance cameras and put together the timelines of who showed up at the bar, when and when they left. And they actually got the footage of the guy following her out of the bar and connected him, and then was able to get his DNA and figure out that he is the guy that killed her. Without the surveillance cameras, they may have never figured it out. So it's a very nuanced and multifaceted concern. So yes, in that situation, the surveillance cameras were used against the murderer. And yes, there are some unscrupulous people out there who will just go out of their way to embarrass you or to get you or bait you into a bad reaction so they can film it or record it, not film, but so they can record it and embarrass you online and use it against you. That is a very real thing too. It's sad that they found out after she was killed. Yes. But how were they going to do it before? Nobody knew he was going to kill her. You can't prove somebody's intentions unless and until they take actions on those intentions. This guy showed no sign that he was going to follow her and murder her. There was no way to know. And sadly, that happens all the time. I would like to hope it's happening less because people realize that with modern technology and investigative techniques and DNA analysis, that they're going to get caught. And it is sad that that we can't prevent these things. But it's in that particular story, at least he got caught. Because, we look at these stories where these guys have been out raping and murdering people for decades and have never gotten caught. How many people does somebody have to kill? And these girls go missing and are never seen again. And nobody ever finds out what happens to them. So at least in some cases, we're now starting to be able to solve these and get answers for their surviving families. So yes, it's tragic that these things can't be prevented, but it's a blessing that they can be solved. And that in many cases, these criminals can be caught and held accountable. There was a time that a person could do this and never get caught. I mean, Jack the Ripper in the 1800s, he killed how many women? And, 150 years later, we still don't know who this person was. So with our technology and our surveillance, it's a double-edged sword because there's no privacy in public, but there's never been an expectation of privacy in public. Your expectation of privacy is in private spaces. It's in your home, in your backyard, in a private establishment. Most murderers do not walk free. Some do, and usually when it happens, it's because of corruption and planted evidence and the people who are supposed to know better, the people who are supposed to be investigating, doing things they shouldn't do. There are not a lot of or some sort of misconduct in the judicial system. Most people who commit murder only go free if they haven't been caught. Once they're caught, most of them don't ever go free. A few do, but most don't. When they're going free is when they haven't been caught. And that's the other side of the surveillance, is that surveillance helps catch them. When in the past, they would have just gotten away with it. And yes, there are so many bad situations. Summer Wells is a good example. That poor little girl went missing in what, 2021, I think? I don't remember exactly, but she's been missing for quite some time. And her parents are quite clearly the most obvious suspects, particularly her mom. Her dad wasn't home when she went missing. But they don't have any physical evidence to demonstrate what actually happened. And you can't just arrest people on vibes. You can't just arrest people because you think they did something. You have to be able to prove it if you want to get them convicted and sent to prison. And part of that proof comes in the form of surveillance. It comes in the form of physical evidence. It comes in the form of witness testimony. And all these things work together to solve the crimes. But it really is kind of a double-edged sword when it comes to surveillance, because there is so much good that can be done. We catch bad people, and yet at the same time, it can be used in very nefarious ways. There are people out there who go out of their way to embarrass people and create drama just so they can get likes on TikTok, just so they can get reactions on social media. And that's not okay. It's not ethical. In some cases, it's not moral, but it's also not anything we can do anything about without infringing on the rights of the rest of us. Because if I want to stop somebody from taking a picture of my front yard or from filming the interaction at a fast food restaurant, I'm going to digress for a moment, because I think that also is a good example. If somebody has had a bad customer service experience repeatedly at the same place or from the same person, maybe they do want to record it so they have evidence of that experience so they can report it to that person's employer. Maybe they want to have evidence of that experience because maybe the employee did something illegal or unethical. Maybe they want to have evidence of that experience just because they know customer service should be better. And if I tell that person they can't record that experience, then I have to be willing to not be able to take a recording if I'm having a fun time with my family at the amusement park. I have the right to film or to record my family enjoying a carnival ride or eating an ice cream cone. But if I stop someone else from doing that, then I no longer have the right to do that myself. We have to be very careful about the limitations we try to put on other people. It's only illegal in most states if you use it for commercial purposes to make money. If I take a picture of my neighbor's yard decorations and I put them in my photo album, that is not a crime. If I take pictures of my neighbor's yard decorations and put it on my website to or use them to make an advertisement for something that I'm selling and I don't get their permission, that's not a criminal offense. It would be a civil offense for which they could sue me. Taking a picture of my kid eating an ice cream cone, if there happen to be people in the background, that's not illegal. I can take a picture of my kid eating an ice cream cone. What I can't do is enhance and bring the people in the background to the forefront and put that online to make money. I can't use that image in a book without blurring the people in the background. But again, that's not criminal. That's a civil offense that they can sue me for. But it is not a crime. Because if it was, every shop owner, every restaurant owner, every business owner that used cameras would be breaking the law. It's the context. You can't take a picture of someone's, let's say their living room window. If their curtains are open, you can't take a picture through the window of the inside of their house. That is illegal. I think that's illegal. I may have to research that. But just taking a picture of someone is not a crime. Recording them is, in some places, is not legal. To record somebody else's conversation, that is illegal without their knowledge. Now, if you are part of that conversation, that's a different story. Some states say both people have to be aware of the recording. Some states say only one person in that conversation has to be aware of the recording. This is not a simple issue. It is very nuanced and complicated. But the bottom line is, if we are in a public place and we are in a place known to have security cameras, we have no expectation of privacy. Our entire time inside that business is probably being recorded. Now, most small businesses will just record over. They only keep it for a certain amount of time. And some of them don't even get watched. I mean, just being real. But some do. Like, if they have money going missing from their registers, they're going to be watching those cameras a lot more closely. If the money is always correct and there's never inventory missing and everything is as it should be, they're probably not paying as much attention. But if they have a lot of shoplifters, they're watching the cameras. If they have a lot of robberies, They're watching the cameras. And we know this. We all know this. We've all been going into stores and restaurants and other places of business for 30 years, expecting that there's a security camera of some kind. So my whole point is that on the customer service level, your level of service should be the same, whether you think you're being recorded or not, whether you think there's a microphone or a camera, whether it's from your employer or a news crew or a customer. If you're an employee, you are being paid to do that job, and you were told, that being recorded might be part of the job. Just do your job. Now, I do also, I know there's another aspect of that, which, yes, having somebody with a camera blatantly watching you makes people uncomfortable. And yes, it does make people want to retreat. And do I think that there should be some kind of regulations? I don't know. Because again, if I tell you not to record something, that means I'm not allowed to record it either. And that means that I can't take a picture of my kid eating ice cream because there's a business in the background or other people. That would just simply make photography and taking videos basically illegal, and that is unconstitutional. We are allowed to, it is our right to make a record of events. And so it is a very delicate balancing act. Because yes, as the professional, you should be able to do your job, whether there's a camera or not. As the service provider, as the employee, there are things that make us uncomfortable. And yes, we should be allowed to say, look, I would be more comfortable if you weren't recording this. Please put the camera away, if we do it politely. And hopefully that person would have enough respect for us that they will put the camera away. That is not always the case. It would be nice. But yes, we do also have the ability to say, this makes me uncomfortable. You're making it harder for me to do my job. I'm not comfortable with you recording me. So please put the camera away. Or if it's an establishment that doesn't allow photography or video recording, we can point to a policy. We don't allow recording inside our restaurant. Could you please put that away? That makes it a whole different situation. Because if there's a policy, if the business has a policy, then they can ask the person to leave because your cat's sitting, so you have to, yeah, okay, well, enjoy your time with the cat. And I'm glad you got to join me. This was good. I know we've had a lot of trouble connecting and getting the time. So have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you so much for showing support and coming to my live stream. It is time for me to kind of close it up anyway. We've been on here over an hour. So thank you. It's always wonderful to have my friends and family and supporters be able to show up on the actual live stream. So in the meantime, I am going to go ahead and this went on much longer than I had originally expected. So I'm just going to go ahead and close it up. Stay blessed, stay authentic, and stay connected. I will see you next time.